I'm not really sure what inspired Suzie Kuze to join on this wild adventure, to leave the bustling city of Lahore through a sea of traffic on the Grand Trunk Road, past Rawalpindi towards Islamabad, and up into the foothills of the Karakoram. But there we were, rolling to a stop just outside of Naran, our first major stopover on the journey up to the north of Pakistan, toward the mountains. Where three major mountain ranges meet, the Himalayas, the Hindu Kush, and the Karakoram. And there, etched into the middle of it all, the Karakoram Highway, an epic ribbon of tarmac winding its way through some of the world's highest mountains and finally connecting Pakistan to China at one of the highest border crossings in the world. In a place like this, there's many times where it's just you and your bike, alone together in this vast rocky landscape. And up here, I'll tell ya, it's good to have a sturdy girl like Suzie, a reliable 150cc mini beast. Maybe it was that sense of the unknown, that sense of adventure on the horizon that inspired Suzie Kuze to join me on the mission to explore northern Pakistan. But whatever the reason was, that unexpected adventure I'm talking about, well, it sure didn't take long for us to find. On just our second day after leaving Naran, we found ourselves blocked by a landslide on the other side of Babusar Top. This left us stuck in a small village down in the bottom of a narrow valley, and in that eerie isolation, it just felt like a place we didn't want to be stranded in after dark. We had ridden up from Islamabad with a group of new biker friends and were planning to travel together for a few weeks. We spent a couple hours contemplating our next move while hanging out with some of the local village kids. In the end, we decided to cross the landslide by foot and try to hitch a ride to Gilgit before nightfall. Waking up in Gilgit the following morning, something very strange happened. Suzie had changed color and was no longer red. Maybe it was her mood that day, or the weather, or maybe it was because we had to abandon our bikes behind the landslide for a few days and take new bikes from our guest house. But no matter the reason, Suzie was now blue. We left Gilgit and headed north along the Karakoram Highway with our new biker gang, Courtney, Stacy, Tabish, our local Pakistani friend and guide for the next few weeks, Ali, our support vehicle driver, and this legend, Rich from Tasmania. It was a nice change up from solo riding to have a sick group like this to explore the north of Pakistan. Silence. That's the word that describes this place. Like a long forgotten world, where at times nothing seems to exist except for the whisper of the wind like an old story. The only thing that disrupts the silence are the thoughts in your head or the grumble of your bike when you fire it back up to life. It's beautiful up here. We picked our way up the valley from Gilgit to Karimabad, an epic little town nestled on the edge of the mountains above a winding river. From Karimabad, we ventured to a nearby glacier and were greeted with one of the most stunning landscapes I've ever seen in my entire life. Riding through the small villages was incredible. The untouched back roads, our own personal playground. And atop Karimabad, the old fort overlooking the valley below. From here, we took in a spectacular sunset. Of course, capped off with the classic late-night repair on one of the bikes. We continued onwards along the bluest waters. Years ago, this entire mountain came crashing down and created Lake Adabad. Ever since I heard that story, this has been a place I've wanted to come visit.
This is gold.
Reaching Husseini Suspension Bridge, we got our first glimpse of the massive Pasu Cones Mountains. The next day, we found ourselves making the final climb up the Kunjarab Pass, an almost 5,000 meter summit through chilly, driving winds. At last, we made it to the top of Kunjarab Pass. Fired up by the success of our first mission, we hit the off-road trail towards Shimshal village and got treated to some of the best adventure riding of the trip so far. We'd been on the road for well over a week by now, and we're headed into a completely new region to the east of Gilgit, the region surrounding Skardu. And to get there, we headed into an alien landscape, the Deosai Plains, a highland plateau with an almost entirely off-road terrain. I think we aged our knees by about 5 years riding over the rough road, standing on our bikes for almost 8 hours. But we were in our kind of paradise. Me and Suzie rolled through Skardu and into the cold desert towards Shigar. We ventured further into Kaplu and settled in for a couple of days. A well-needed rest and chance to immerse ourselves a bit more into the local way of life. we continued back out on the road towards Kuze, a village that is internationally renowned as a mecca for climbers, which is fitting because it serves as a base and launch point for K2, the second highest mountain in the world after only Everest. Leaving Kuze, we realized it would be our biker gang's last day together before we parted ways. So, we headed into Karakoram to spend a final afternoon together up at the lake. And like that, it was just me and Suzie again. We ventured out on a new journey down a gnarly road towards Shandor Top, the border between KPK and Gilgit-Baltistan, and the end of the road for us, as it were. Of course, we still had to ride back down to Islamabad, but as it often goes, the end of one story is just the beginning of another. So, we'll leave it right here, up in the middle of nowhere, in the north of Pakistan. Until the next time.